Hello gamers, welcome to the No Passives Witch run. This campaign run was completed in Ruthless SSF Softcore with no passive tree points and no ascendancy points allocated. I'm gonna spend my time talking about this character, the things I liked, the gear I'm using, the skill progression, pretty much everything. Is probably going to be a long video, but if you're looking to learn about what I did in order to finish the campaign with no passives, I think it'll be very interesting. One thing to talk about first is why I actually did the run. I was watching my friend Doc play his default attacker only build, and I noticed somewhere around Act 6, he essentially became immortal. He had insane life, insane block, and he took almost no damage from everything, and still did a lot of damage. So, upon speaking with him a little more, we realized that a big thing was, well, I realized that the passive tree was very, very, very strong. So I decided that for my first full PoE run, I would do no passives. I started playing back in beta, and I haven't really touched the game too much since then. I did a little bit here and there. I did a little Ruthless to Act 3 with a Scion, but other than that, I hadn't played the game. So everything Act 3 and onwards was essentially blind for me and fresh. So it was definitely an interesting run. And I think it was very fun to get pieces of gear or get different skills that come out and totally change what you're doing and having to adapt to what is dropping. Because it is on Ruthless, we are not trading, so gear is just what you get. So let's talk about our passive tree. As you could see, I put my points into, and then other points went into. So yeah, it's a good build. You're wondering, why are we a necromancer? So we spent a lot of time farming lab. And one thing with Cruel Lab is that at the end, you have to use the plaque. We figured out that you cannot go to Cruel Lab without activating the plaque because it is not seen you as completed lab, even though I've ran it 100 times. So what this means is I didn't want to find out if I had to actually click it and then I was able to go in right away, or if I had to select an ascendancy. So I just selected one, didn't put any points in, and then went in from there. But on the next run, I'll probably just try clicking on it. Though I think being able to choose a new portrait once you get to Cruel Lab is sort of an achievement. Like, oh, my character changed at this point is kind of cool too. So I might do that in the future also. There will be more runs of no passives somehow. This run was actually very fun and is definitely the most fun I've had playing PoE, to be honest. So let's talk about what's important. So the thing with passives, other than the fact that every single node is absolutely disgustingly broken, is that you have these, int nodes, and you have dex nodes, you have strength nodes, and you have resist nodes, and all this. So what ends up being really important for this character is having the attributes to actually wear your gear. This is, I don't know if these numbers seem high for most PoE players, but these are like insane, groundbreaking, like crazy amount of stats that we have here, attributes. It's actually wild that we got this far because there was a time where these were a lot lower, and a big part of your gearing is making sure you have the attributes to wear everything. You do a little bit of snapshotting maybe, but it's very, very hard to actually find attributes. Something we'll confirm later in a future run is that we think that strength and dex is very strong and int does not seem as powerful, but this was a mostly int run despite what the attributes say. But ES just kind of felt a little weak, and it felt really difficult to wear some strong gear. Usually a lot of gear required a lot of dex or a lot of strength, and the int gear was okay. It was okay, but maybe it was just the way my gear was dropping, but I felt like throughout the run I really needed dex. And even with a lot of the int skill gems I used, they all needed dexterity. So ED, needed dexterity. Well, we can talk about it when we get there, but ED needed dex. I think Chaos Golem needed dex. There was just like a few other things where everything just needed a little bit of dexterity as well. So it makes sense to get that higher. Other than that, you're looking for health, and resists, and life regen is okay as well. Honestly, a big thing was if you were looking to survive stun recovery, because you get stunned like off anything. Anything hits you, it's like half your life, and you need the stun recovery to not immediately die. But let's talk about our gear. I'll show you the end game. I'll talk a little bit about the gear progression that went on the way here, and then we'll do the same for the skills. So this is the gear set that we created, Doc and I, for killing Kitava. It may not be the best sort of set of gear for general gameplay, but Kitava was surprisingly difficult, which is odd because it felt like when I was being told about Act 10, I was told it was very difficult to get to Kitava, and the boss before Kitava, Innocence Jr., is very difficult, and you know, the ads are terrible, but once you get past that boss and you get past to Kitava, easy peasy. Well, for this character, it has very unique problems on most bosses, which is very interesting because it seemed like people would tell me this boss is really hard and this boss is really easy, and the hard boss would be very easy and the easy boss would have something like insanely difficult. Like, for example, when you're in Act 9 and we're doing the trio bosses at the end, the totem one, I was told, oh, it's gonna be very hard, unavoidable damage, blah blah blah. It's really easy. I died like one time on it, maybe 2 times. And then, oh, the trio's easy. Then the scorpions spawn, and the scorpions literally killed you in 1 auto attack, right? Things like that, where it's like, oh yeah, this boss is easy because you just kill the ads and you don't worry about it. But my character does not one-shotting the ads, has to now deal with them, and then they just immediately one-tap you. So definitely unique challenges. So let's take a look at our gear. We'll talk about how we got here and kind of the way we went up. So we're using this lion sword. This base is absolutely disgustingly broken. 50 strength, 50 dex, and then another 23 strength and another 30 dex. This was the most mind-blowing thing. It unlocked the entire build. Because before we were like, okay, here's some items here, here's some items here, and then it does insane damage, insane elemental, and why that matters is we're running, up here, animate weapon of self-reflection. So getting elemental damage on that is great, and we're running hypothermia support, and we're running frostbite, so it having a lot of cold damage is very important. So we get a lot of damage out of the sword, and on top of that we get insane stats, like crazy amount of stats, and it has 74% increased fizz. Honestly, one of the most bonkers finds for sure on this one, and the attack speed is crazy fast too. We are using a Lyric cast, so we were using animated weapons, and this dropped in lab, just regular lab when we were running it, and I was like, oh my god, this is like GG fine. Like, I don't think I could take this off, because with animate weapons this is just straight up 50% damage, and it has 100 health, and it has 22 dex. It's crazy item. Here we have 21 all attributes, 22 strength, 22 int, a little bit of life, a little bit of Ellie res. The rest of the stats not too important, but I can't remember where we found this, but we found it, I think, in Act... I think we crafted it in Act 9, maybe 8. It was really good. This is crazy. Again, you really need attributes. You really need to be able to play the game, use the gear. So this was really good. This ring, it's fire res, it's dex, and that's pretty much all it is. Not actually that great, but we pretty much used it at the end build just for fire res and int. The other stats were pretty irrelevant. Here we have our Tempest Skin Gladiator plate. This is a little bit better than it looks. I was told this item is crazy, but it looks okay to me. But it does give us life and lightning res and life regen. But what it really gives you is a shit ton of armor. Why is this important? Keep in mind, this gives us 1,215 armor. Our armor is 1,298. This is almost 90% of our armor. Just off this one piece, and it gives us 26% fizz reduction. So if we, let's say we take this off, we go down to 83 armor, which is 2%. So this is giving us 24% just off this one piece. Kind of crazy. We crafted this, we did this in Kitava prep. We had 5 elks saved up, actually got a lot of currency. And we bought a We bought the Gladiator plate off the vendor to my left, and we just alked it, and this is what we got. It was pretty crazy. Really strong. This is our other ring. Insane cold res, insane strength, insane int. We got this 2 acts ago. Oh, it was crazy. Honestly, insane fine. And the 30 ES is basically 30 HP for the most part, because we're just looking to survive the one-shot more than anything else. We have some Dex, some Fire Res. These are kind of whatever. It's just Dex, Fire Res, Lightning. I don't even know if we need the Dex. Yeah, we don't need the Dex. It is literally just Fire Res, Lightning. Could be other gloves, honestly. Actually, I wasn't using these. I used this for something else. Let me see if I can find the gloves I was actually using. It was these ones. I had this on for a map boss. These are the ones we actually were using. The strength and the dex don't matter too much, but, you know, that is 20 health off the strength, so nothing to scoff at. And then we have another 8 from ES, 38 from our life, and then 38.5 life regen. It's pretty good. This belt here is dual res, a little bit of health, a little bit of strength, a little bit of ES, a little bit of regen. Honestly, about as good of a belt as we're going to get. There's some other items that could have gone here, but this was really strong, so we decided to slot it in. And then these are our last boots here of Dex, Fire, Cold, Movement Speed. Pretty good. What did I want to mention? We can look at our res. I mean, they look kind of low, 52, 53, 11. Keep in mind, this character has not been updated since killing Kitava. So this is actually 30 higher in each of these. So we're looking at 80, 80, and 40. So that's what our reses we're looking at going to Kitava. We didn't care much about our lightning res because Kitava does no lightning damage. It was just fire, health, and that's really what we were concerned about. If I was doing maps right now, I would redo it to res cap and all of that. But right now, we're not doing maps. We're actually going to do a new run. So it's something we're not interested in right now. Our flasks are, I don't know, they're flasks. Other than that, we had this on our offhand. So this was a sword we found before. This is what we were using before we were using this Eagle Slicer. Again, same things, tri-res, pretty strong sword, gives us strength. I don't know if I still have it. I probably don't. But there was another weapon we were using. It was another one-hander that just had tri-res. Oh, here it is. It has tri-res damage. This is what we were using from Act 3 to Act 6. It was a while. We used it for a long time. Maybe Act 7. But it was a good weapon. I mean, it did a lot of damage. It was good for animate weapon. The biggest issue I found of animate weapon is that you cannot control your minions, and it makes some boss fights very difficult. Especially, like, for example, the first time I did Kitava, it would have been fine if I could just send them on the demons and then have them hit the boss, but because you have no control over that, but the only times they would attack the demon is if you would A, run over to them, or B, the demon was already attacking you, which you don't want that, the heralds. So it made it very difficult to control, and there was a few other bosses with very similar issues. Or for example, what did Act 5 Kitava? Is that right? Is that what Kitava's in? Act 5. If you, I didn't prog it for too long, but let's say Kitava's this notice board, and I would walk out here, the weapons would just follow me and stop attacking. So it was very difficult to control them, which is a bit unfortunate. But yeah, that's our gear. I'll show off a few pieces that we found just for fun. We got this uniques. You can pause if you want to read any of them. We also use this for rarity farming at the end. We also had... Where's my belt? I must have moved it. There's a few other uniques we got as well, but I have no idea where I would put them. This one is very good. This one was actually nice. We picked it up in Act 9. We used it for a little bit. The unfortunate part, we couldn't get these linked together. We had another build for Spellslinger. Let me see if I can find it. So I have Flesh Offering here, which I haven't been using. But we had a Spellslinger setup using ED, which I have somewhere probably. Actually, I don't have it here. Oh, here it is. We were using ED with Spellslinger and Ice Spear and Cold Snap. That was a good combination. Or Creeping Flow, if we wanted to use that. I had Pierce that I was using with the Essence, but for the actual kill, we used Decay Support. I guess we're talking about jumps, so let's talk about jumps. We started out the run using Blight. I haven't looked up anything ahead of time in regards to what's strong, what isn't strong. I just sort of chose what sounded fun to me. So what sounded fun was taking Blight, and we eventually got ED, and we were running Blight ED for a while, and it was okay. Honestly, I don't think it was all that crazy. It wasn't. I was told like, oh yeah, chaos damage was crazy, blah blah. It was okay. It's like, oh, it ignored energy shield. Well, it's kind of nice. It was just like awkward to use, or ED not piercing. You know, you could spread it with contagion, but it was okay. The damage kind of fell off pretty quick, especially because gems level slowly in Ruthless. That's a big thing. And ED is like giga gem damage. Don't look at the actual damage on these tooltips, by the way. I'm using Cast. So all of our damage numbers are 25% lower here, because we're not getting the buff in town. But yeah, it was okay. But I noticed in the late game, it was great. You got a lot of damage out of each level. So it was nice early, it was nice late, and in the mid game, it was pretty bad. So once we found that Tri-Res Sword, we decided to go Animate Weapon. We farmed Lab, and just reroll gems until it just came up. I don't think it was planned, but it was like, oh, we rolled this. I was like, oh, they didn't get that weapon earlier, and then it kind of came together, right? That's what I love about playing Ruthless and no passives. Is like, oh, I got this random thing. It's like, oh, I have this piece of gear, and then you try to put the gear together. Oh, I don't have enough dex for it, so then you have to swap another slot. Now I don't have enough strength, and you swap another slot, and then now you have the strength to use it, and you have a new gear set, and everything changed. And that's why there's like all these tabs of just like armors and stuff I kept, just so that way, if I ever need, like, oh, I need 40 dex, here's a piece of gear, right? Stuff like that. Or when I got the sword, I fixed all dex, all strength issues. Well, now I don't need strength on anything. I just need int, so that's why there's int here, there's int here, right? So it's not as necessary. You can move your pieces around a little more freely. So Animate Weapon was really good, and eventually, like I said, we went to Spellslinger, and we did ED and some cold damage, and we didn't have a Frostbite until, I was going to say Hypothermia. We didn't have Frostbite until Act 10, so we weren't using that. Other than that, we have this Lightning Golem of Hordes. It's just 3 golems, and then we were using that alongside Carrion. When we did use the Spellslinger, there's a Chaos Golem one I have. I don't know if it's on my swap. It's not. But we have a Chaos Golem as well that we put out. Other than that, we had ED. We used ED Pierce for a little bit. ED Sniper's Mark was also a thing that we used as well in this quick step. Like normal, we have Calling Strike support with our Animate Weapon, and which just give us a little bit of damage. The actual Calling Strike itself was pretty fine. It was okay. Killing things earlier was nice, but you know, just doing 28% more damage on weapons is fucking crazy. And then we picked up a Vitality late. I think I underestimated this one. I probably would have picked it up earlier. We picked this up with our last Uncarved Gemstone in Act 10 because we were taking a lot of damage on Kitava, especially from the little clusters he sends out. We call them birds, the little black clusters that leave behind the trail and they damage you. It was really bad. So we picked this up, and we had a lot of life regen going into that fight, a lot more life than the first time we did it. The first time we did Kitava, we had like 1200 life. So having like 1550 almost coming back in was crazy. Definitely a big noticeable difference. We also had like 9%, 9% fizz damage reduction, so coming in of 26%, 100 more life, and vitality, and all this life regen definitely made the fight a lot easier. Because I was expecting, so I did Kitava for a day, realized, okay, it's doable, but I have to play absolutely perfect, no mistakes, no nothing, so let's go just grind gear and hopefully make that easier. So I did 2.5 days of just gear grinding, just sat, grind, you know, in between work and all that. And then we went in, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put 2 days, so Wednesday the 1st and Thursday the 2nd, I'm just going to sit here and grind this boss. And I wasn't expecting him to die until the end, and then I went in one day early. I was like, oh, let me see the gear, let me see if Animate Weapon works before I go to bed, and I just ended up killing him at like 2 in the morning. So that was really nice. That was really nice. The gear helped a ton. And then we can move on to our next run whenever we do that. The other things to note, we used the case support for this Essence Drain. This was good. I don't think it was necessary, but it was just nice, a little extra damage on our ED. The other thing that we used for a while, but we didn't end up sticking with, was Wheat Shield support. This was really good to put on your weapons, especially when you're just clearing zones. Or if you have a boss that just sits in the middle of the arena, but whenever you need to move around a lot with a boss, this becomes really bad on swords. The defensive part is really an issue because you're trying to dodge things because you cannot get hit by anything because everything kills you. So when you have this, it makes it really rough. But you do deal 25% more damage, and your minions move faster, and they take less damage. So, altogether they're very strong. Other than that, we can talk about lab grinding. So with lab grinding, we did that for a really, really, really long time. I wish I could check how many, but I think it ended up being about 100 lab runs or so, maybe a little more. We did it for a few days for sure, and it was, I don't know, lab is like really strong. There was a time when I was doing it, and especially right after lab, where I was like, man, maybe we ban lab. Like lab provides deterministic results, right? Like you can really expect an outcome, because let's say, for example, I said I want to do anime weapon. I can eventually go and find anime weapon. All I have to do is just keep running lab over and over and over and over and just re-roll it, and it won't be a problem. But and then the same thing for gear. Just spouts out a bunch of gear. You have a lot of gear options. You get treasure keys. It's really good. However, after finishing the run, I don't think you can ban lab. I think you need something like that. This run was really, really hard. So it ended up needing that extra way to get gear, gems, and support gems. Maybe being able to essentially get the gem you want is kind of unfair, but and maybe it would make runs a little stale. So it's possible maybe we just ban the font and we keep the gear, but for future runs, of course. But yeah, it was really good, so it's something we could think about. And hardcore, I don't think so. I think it'll make the runs a little more stale, though. I really like finding gems, but it does take that aspect away. But I think lab is still very important, and I think it's really good to run. So you farm lab a lot, you farm crew lab a little bit, and then in Act 10 you farm it. Lab is a little scary to go into early for sure, because you just get one tap by everything. The first time I did lab, I don't have footage of it, but Doc and I went and did it. He was watching me, and it took 2.5 hours, I think, because I've never done lab before. I know that if you die, you get kicked out, and that's all I knew about it. I didn't know anything else. So it was just me stumbling through it, and I didn't want to die to Azaro, so I literally just ran in a circle around the room over and over and over and over until he finally died to Essence Drain. I was trying to like snipe him between all the skeletons. It was a journey for sure. Obviously, when I did future lab runs, they were like 15 minutes or whatever. But 2.5 hours was fun. That was a good experience. Hardest parts of the run. Let's talk about that. Yeah, every boss. Every boss was brutal. I actually think the minions and everything else, I didn't die very much from. It was like really easy to live. But bosses are gonna kill you. Maybe some of the earlier ones aren't too bad. But once you get later on, it's just really easy to die to anything. You have to play perfect. The hardcore run, which we'll eventually do, is gonna be very interesting, because you could die to any boss. You get hit by some random thing. Part of it was also learning. Like, for example, when we did Solaris Lunaris, that fight was really fun, by the way. It was definitely my favorite fight from this game. Things like, oh, the spear hits the wall and it bounces. Where's the safe spot? Turns out it's always right behind her. But if that spear hits you, so when the spear gets tossed to the wall and then it shatters and bounces around, if any of those bounces hit you, immediate death. 100 to 0, like, you just die. So stuff like that. It really, I don't know, it almost felt like raiding in an MMO. Like, you really cannot get hit by anything. I know with a lot of builds, it's like, oh, I got hit by the spear. Okay, cool, I'll try not to do that. But here, it's just, you die. If you do any mechanic wrong, you die. So, yeah, it was fun. It was like a little ultimate blind prog every single time for any 14 raiders. But it was great. I had a good time. It was a super fun run. And the bosses were definitely hard. Like I said, going through the maps and whatever, it was pretty easy. I know some people are like, oh, well, it's just random. A rare pack will kill you. And then maybe. I think part of it is just scouting it before you engage, being really careful when you go into rooms. Taking your time. I just kind of ran in for the most part, but sometimes you want to take your time and chill. The reason this vitality is locked, if you're curious, is we can level it up, but with Spellslinger, we go down to like 100 mana, and I don't really want to lock any more mana. Now, granted, I could unlock it now that we're just playing enemy weapon, but this character's kind of backshelved. So what's next? What's next in our runs? Well, we want to do this on hardcore eventually. I think it is possible. It is going to require near perfect play, and I think I will die maybe 20 to 100 times on different characters at different points. I think it is doable, but I will have to be locked in the entire run. You cannot make any mistakes. But, I mean, that's part of the fun of hardcore, right? And we want to try... Here I was kind of testing things out. I want to do a ranger build next. I'm not sure how far I'll get into that. The gameplay seems kind of boring, but I do want to try out bows and see how good it is and how tanky it is and all that. Well, you know, how much the skills do, because the bows and the quivers, whenever I loot them, they read like the most insane items I've ever read in my entire life. But apparently there's just high dex requirements. It's this really big issue, and evasion kind of sucks because you need a lot of it, and we don't have any passives to enhance the evasion, so it's all coming from our gear. But we really want resists and health and armor and strength, so that way we can have more health. I think strength and dex is going to be really strong. If we had to focus on one stat only, I think it'd be strength, because you get health from strength, you get damage from strength, and you get strength from strength, and that strength makes you strong, so that's pretty good. So we're looking to do the ranger, and then I'll probably do some hardcore testing and do like maybe 2 or 3 more runs and just sort of figure out what's strong, how do I adapt to my build, when this thing drops, what do I do with it, when this thing drops, what do I do with it, and then once I'm ready, we'll start running hardcore, and we'll often abuse early for anything that drops, any gems that drop. I think you can do more fun builds. I don't think this has to be done in hardcore where you only pick the best shit every time and you try to like run lab to get the exact same thing. I think for my first run, that's exactly what I'm going to do, is aim for a certain thing, and unless a unique or like a big drop changes that, I'm going to aim for a thing, I'm going to try to get that thing, and whatever the best thing ends up being, and do that. And then once that run is done, once I do finish a hardcore run, I think future hardcore runs, I will probably just, you know, go off the flow, see what drops. Don't grind too hard for gems. Maybe you'd have to grind for gear. That part is not negotiable, unfortunately. And then after that, maybe some PoE 2 stuff. I know some people say that attributes are really hard to find in that game, especially without a passive tree. But I want to give it a go. I mean, it seems like they really want you to craft a lot through the campaign, so that's something I want to try in the end. It's probably been a long yap video, but hopefully you enjoyed. As always, it's been fun, and I'm hoping the next run is fun as well, and I'll give updates about that one, though it probably will be in piece by piece. It won't be, maybe there'll be a big video, but I'll definitely post like, oh, the ranger kills this boss, and ranger kills this boss, and like, here's a cool rare pack, maybe a little clips here and there. For those that are waiting for WoW videos, they will come back, but they're gonna take their time coming back, because I think I've been having a lot of fun here, so that's something I want to do. Alright, well, I'll see everyone in the next video. Have a good day, everyone.